Hello everyone, so today I thought I'd do a video just showing my very bare bones sort of cinema screen in the garage that I set up. So this is a project I kind of set myself during lockdown when you couldn't really go anywhere, you couldn't do much, and everyone was just sitting at home getting a bit bored. So what I decided to do was have a big clear out in the garage, buy a couple of bits of large plasterboard that you'd use around the house, stick them up at the end of the garage wall here, get myself a little projector on Amazon, and yeah, use an old 5.1 Blu-ray player that I had from way back, really out of date now, but it still does the job. And this is what I do in the summertime when it's nice and warm. I can sit out in the garage, put a little garden recliner out, and just sit back and watch some films on a huge screen behind me with a nice surround sound as well. So I'll show you all the sort of stuff I've got set up here. It's, like I say, it's very bare bones. There's no kind of fancy, finishing touches to anything. It's literally just a projector stuck onto the ceiling with a mount and 2 bits of plasterboard behind. But I'll show you how I did it. So this is the projector itself. It was literally just a cheap kind of Chinese brand that no one's really ever heard of off of Amazon. It was a bit of a gamble. But 1080p resolution, so full HD. The colours and everything when you first get it aren't brilliant, but there is I found a couple of tips online that people have kind of put down in the comments when they've bought them on reviews and things, and you can actually play around with the colours and get them really good. Obviously it's not going to be anything like the new 4K TVs or like an OLED or anything like that, but just to get something that will blow an image up, sort of a big blockbuster type movie, just blowing up right up to sort of 100 inches, 110, 120 inches, depending on how big you've got space-wise to put it onto. The box sort of claims that this thing will go up to about 300 inches if you've got the space. But for me, the garage wall at the end here, that's plenty big enough to kind of sit back and get really immersed into a film, especially kind of the big sort of blockbuster movies. They look amazing on here, big disaster ones, or comic book hero ones, all look fantastic. So yeah, I'll go through the model in a minute and just show you what it is. Don't think it's still available, but there might be an equivalent model out there, or we might be able to find one of these secondhand, or something similar. So again, like I mentioned, I just had happened to have an old surround system that I used to use many years ago that was kicking about in the loft somewhere, I think. Remembered I had it, pulled it out of the loft, set up all the cables and the wires, set the speakers up, and threw a movie in there. Bought a long HDMI cable, which you're going to need if you're going to do something like this. Stuck the HDMI cable in the back of this, runs it up the wall here, goes up to the roof, over and into the projector just above my head now. So yeah, really simple, really basic system. Obviously this didn't cost me any additional money because this is something I already owned. But yeah, if anyone else is in a similar situation where they've got an old bit of kit just sitting there wasting away and they want to do something like this, any advice you might want, let me know, and I might be able to help you out. So this is the screen itself, and I've just popped a regular Amaray Blu-ray case down there, The Force Awakens, on this stand, just to show you the sort of scale of the size of the screen I managed to get in here. So it literally does go from wall to wall in your average size garage in the UK. But yeah, huge screen. I think it works out about 110 inches, something like that, from corner to corner. So yeah, massive screen, obviously blowing up the things like Star Wars or anything like that, and you're watching just the Millennium Falcon flying around on this thing with the surround sound going. Fantastic. So yeah, a couple of bits of plasterboard. I think they were about £8 each, something like that. So again, very low cost. Just stood them on a couple of old stands I had down here. Leant them up against the wall, put a couple of pins in just to keep it in place at the top, and that's it. So I just found the label that come off the bottom of the projector when I had it. You need to sort of remove this label if you ever want to go inside and just clean some of the dust specks out, which is one of the downsides of having a cheaper projector. It does sort of pick up a few dust specks now and again, but for the money, I think this thing cost about 150, 140, sort of like, not too dear for what you're actually getting for your money. And then actually inside, when you get it back to delivered, it actually has a little kind of code in there that you can leave a review, whether it's negative or whether it's positive. The company doesn't seem to mind. If you do that review and link it to the company Vankyo, who's the brand company there, they will offer you a £50 Amazon voucher for doing the review. So when you take that into account, I ended up doing the review, which, you know, more than happy with for the price I paid. I got £50 of that sort of £140 or so back, or 130, however much it was. So actually, it was probably less than £100 just to get a nice little projector set up in the garage here. So yeah, ended up spending all that stuff. I think probably on my bracket that I've put the projector onto, so that kind of came into the price of it by using the Amazon voucher, and picked up a few movies as well just to run through it. So here's a very quick look at what it's projected like in action. So I just found the box that it came in for the original projector. So yeah, you know, if anyone's thinking about doing something similar to this is the one I went with, which is a Vankyo Performance V600. You know, it's got lots of plus points. It's also got lots of negative points. I'll kind of summarize those at the end, just so you completely understand what you'd be getting for your money if you decide to go for something like this. I think projecting is a bit of a sort of slippery start to watching films, because once I got this and started watching a few on these, I ended up wanting something, you know, a bit better quality as well. So I ended up getting another projector after this. So I had to save up for that one. It was a bit more dearer than this. Got a nice little Epson one, which I have inside the house as well. So yeah, I love seeing the films on the big screen now, especially when you couldn't go to the cinema when everything was locked down. So that's a little look at, like I said, my very bare bones system. Yeah, it's been fantastic for me. It really sort of, you know, brings new life to some of those old films that either you couldn't see on the big screen because, you know, well, you weren't around when they first came out. Gives you a little bit of a kind of inkling to what they may have looked like when they're blown up nice and big. Yeah, really good. I would, you know, if anyone's interested in doing projecting, let me know if you need any help with it. I'm not an expert, but I say I can set up a bare bones system in a lockdown, and I've kind of gone on a little bit further from that. So let me know in the comments if anyone needs any help with that. I'm on Instagram as well, so find me over there if you want to message me about it. But yeah, I'll quickly summarize the points of this particular model in case anyone's got one or seen one and wants a bit of help with that. So I guess the plus points are you can get a really nice big image. It's sort of it's relatively clear on the actual screen itself. If the lens, when you focus it, is tricky to focus. So this is all kind of like, you know, you've got to take into account the cost of what you're actually paying for this thing. You won't expect miracles from it. Once the movie's rolling, you know, and as images move in and you're immersed, you don't notice if there's like a little bit of a soft spot in the corner on the side, or, you know, the focus isn't quite sharp all across the screen, which happens on the sort of cheaper end projectors. But if you're just getting started and trying it out and you want to just, you know, spend a little bit of money to see how it is first of all, or if you can set it up in your own place, then definitely worth a go this way round. So the other kind of negative thing about this particular one is, or most of these type ones, they can be quite noisy and give off a little bit of heat. So obviously where I've got mine set up doesn't really matter because I'm in the garage. I've got the surround system, and once you get that sound over the top of it, you can't even hear it really. You're just concentrating on the film. And the heat side of it, again, in a garage, it just goes right off into the rafters, and there's no, you know, I don't really feel any difference in the garage about the heat coming off the thing. So yeah, they can get warm, a little bit noisy. With the lower end models like this as well, they don't tend to put any sort of dust protection in, so they do draw in a bit of dust, which then sort of is magnified and blown up on the screen sometimes. That can be the most frustrating thing. But like I said earlier, you can basically open up the insides of these things and literally just clean them out. They comes with a little couple of swabs. You just literally tap where the dust specks are. It's, you know, not the easiest of jobs, but again, to be honest, now I've got a secondary one as well. For me, I just leave this thing pinned up in here in the garage. I don't really clean it out so much now. I was obsessed with doing it at the start. It was like one of those bugbears. But to the minute, you know, once a film's rolling, if there's a couple of little marks on it, you know, I don't even really notice after a while. So yeah, they're probably the main negatives of this particular type of projector. Plus sides, obviously, like I said, you can get a huge image out of it. Once it's rolling, it looks amazing. Tweak the kind of picture settings, which I'll leave down my settings if anyone's got this model in my description. So, you know, you can try those out for yourself and see whether that works out well. Yeah, just to see the whole picture that big on a screen somewhere, on a wall somewhere in your house, or, you know, if you're just going to mess around with it with a couple of mates, or if you've got kids and you want to put some like Disney stuff up on the wall and make it huge so they're like life size for them, fantastic for this sort of thing. The other sort of good thing about them is, you know, they're not that dear. So these ones, like I said, I think probably when you work out how much I got back on a voucher, less than £100 for this thing. So you know, I've paid probably close to that for just a Blu-ray box set before now. So to think you can get something that will get a whole wall filled with a nice video image, yeah, it you know, made sense to me. So yeah, plus points, really big screen, really immersive. So you do get drawn right into those films. Some of the kind of like even nature ones, if they've got like things like birds flying over water or something, if you're standing so close, you almost feel like you're going over with it. It's so immersive. Um, so if you like your big blockbuster movies, must buy. You know, I would say get one of these. If you want to go in and invest heavier, then you know, please do. Um, you can get, like I say, the perks of having a dearer projector usually are they're better manufactured, so you know they'll be less noisy. They generally have less heat kick out. The picture will be kind of sharper overall, like the whole screen, whereas the kind of cheaper ones, they have a little bit of softness around the edges sometimes. Which again, like I keep saying, you know, once the picture's rolling, you don't even notice that. What else do they offer? So you've got, you know, they are dearer, and I mean a lot dearer usually. So I mean they're probably starting at least £500-600, going up to thousands after that, for sort of a more branded one. So that's really where you've got to make your choice. Are you going to just take a little bit of a gamble on a cheap one and make do with the kind of faults that I've mentioned, or the kind of bugbears that I've mentioned, or do you want to invest heavier and kind of get rid of some of them? So most of them, you know, would be gone. Like I said, the heat kickout's less. Things like they have dust filtration in the more expensive ones. So my Epson one, it's got a little filter on the side there. I've never noticed any dust on the screen. You just clean that out fairly regularly. So that's another kind of big thing out of the way of maintenance. You don't really have to do anything with them. Yeah, then you can go down the route of like, you know, image quality and black levels and colors and all that sort of stuff. But you'll need to do your own research on that to what your tastes are. Um, but yeah, so I guess my main kind of like point on this one, really fantastic image. If you just want to get one to mess about with, basically these are fantastic. I'd recommend anyone pick one up. So the last point, just to make sure everyone's sort of aware of, obviously if you know anything about projecting, you'll know this already, but anyone brand new to it, any sort of projector, whether it's a low-end one or a high-end one, pretty much most of the time you have to have complete darkness wherever you are. Again, why my garage works out really well for me is I can just shut the door and there's no windows in here, so no natural light can come through. Um, so yeah, you'd have to have it in complete darkness if you're trying to think about setting up across the summer and kind of get some movies going, maybe in the garden or something. It would have to be pretty much pitch black before you can start seeing the image clearly enough to enjoy it. But yeah, other than that, go for it. So thanks for watching the video. I hope someone's you know, enjoyed part of this video at least. You know, like I said before, if you want any sort of advice or any questions about kind of the setups or doing a basic setup, you know, message me on Instagram or put a comment down below and I'll try and see if I can help you out with anything. Thanks for watching. See you again. Bye.